Warning, this video contains visuals that might disturb some weak of heart and is unintended for children under 13 years of age. You've been warned. I was gonna write a very long, very drawn-out script for this game, but I couldn't do it any justice by trying to label the good and the bad in the game with words on a piece of paper. So instead, I think I need to just talk about what I think about it. Now, I wasn't anywhere near old enough to play this game when it released, so I missed out on a huge chunk of the fanfare during that time, but I have had the chance to play it front to back now with my complete, undivided attention, and I can honestly say, I think that made the game worse. But before I go crucifying myself, I figure I'll talk about the things that I did enjoy about Silent Hill 3. First, I'll start with the gameplay, which took a huge nosedive into the linear compared to the previous titles. There's not really a whole hell of a lot of exploring in Silent Hill 3. There are multiple places you have to go. There's a lot of backtracking between the rooms you've already visited in the locations you're currently at, just as every other Silent Hill game has. But there's no Silent Hill to really explore or walk around. There's no real side environment to view. Side quests, if any, are so few and far between that I didn't even notice them on my playthrough. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's more to do if I go back and play a second time, which I'm going to. But as it stands, for my complete first impression, the game severely lacks a lot of the bullshit that made Silent Hill 1 and 2 tedious. I don't mind running around Silent Hill. Matter of fact, Silent Hill 1 is my favorite game on the PlayStation. But I do enjoy that for a game of this magnitude, a game with such a clear and present want to disturb you as much as it can, it did it in a way that it would show you everything it wanted to show you when it wanted to show you. And that added a new layer to the disturbing and tension that I just didn't feel with the previous games. Let's talk about the puzzles. Now, normally when I start these games, I'll start with a combat difficulty of normal and a puzzle difficulty of hard because I really like to use my brain. I like to think about things. I like to solve. I like to investigate. And this game brings back puzzles in full swing. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, some of them are tedious, but overall they're very solid, just like every other game in the series. I found myself thinking really heavily, especially at the Shakespeare puzzle and the hospital's second floor door code. But aside from those two notable moments, the rest of the puzzles just kind of felt like going through the motions. You know, I've seen this before, I've done this before. That doesn't make them bad, that just means that they were just extra game time that I really didn't even need to see. The combat was okay. I mean, I didn't mind it too much. Usually, I just found myself running around combat because it really didn't matter all that much to me, but it was there, and it wasn't any better or any worse than any of the other games, because Silent Hill's not really a combat-centric game. I mean, yes, you can kill things, but your first playthrough, I seriously don't recommend it. You're gonna need your ammunition, and trying to get up close and personal with the baddies means you waste a lot of health items, because the block button doesn't work half of the time. Speaking of blocking, by the way, hitboxes in this game are friggin' broken. I don't know what the hell. I would hit something, it wouldn't hit. I would block, it wouldn't block. I had so many moments like that throughout the game, and it was stupid frustrating, and I think it's intentional. It may not be, but I think it's intentional. If anything, it just made me feel more helpless, which I didn't mind. I like to feel helpless in a dangerous situation like this. I'm not fucking Max Payne jumping around in slow motion, shooting everything I see. I'm one person running around an unknown hellscape, trying to survive, and it plays into the survival aspect. You're not supposed to fight things, at least not your first time through. Visually speaking, this game is stunning. There are so many different effects, texture effects, 3D effects, moments in the game that just really turn your stomach, would make you want to throw up if you didn't have a strong enough stomach to handle it. Lots of moments that make your heart race, lots of things that leave you wondering, what the hell did I just look at? And that's awesome. It's probably the best and most disturbing visually throughout the entire series, and that's great. That adds a huge amount of respect to the game that I just didn't have when I went into it right away. It built gradually over time as things got more and more intense. The more I played, the more I wanted to play, because the more I wanted to see, even though those things that I wanted to see, I didn't want to see when I saw them. I mean, that's technically how the entire series plays out, but this time it was taken and shot with steroids, thrown to the max. It was a brand new, all new kind of terrifying that you just didn't get before. It was awesome. Unfortunately, that's where my love for the game ends, and my frustrations and my hate with the game begins, because there are so many problems. There are so many moments that just made me go, that's fucking stupid. There are so many things that are cheap, unfair. So many times in the game I repeatedly died just because there was no health item immediately following a fucking terrible boss fight. That, by the way, that boss fight, the boss fight where you fight the memory of Alessa, is just the worst thing on the planet. I died like 40 times. There is no pattern. The AI is broken. The hitboxes are broken. Who the fuck thought to give a monster a submachine gun that you have to stay up close to, otherwise you die right away? It was dumb. It was the worst part of the game by far, and I swear to God the rest of the boss fights didn't even need to exist with that one. That one boss fight would have been the only boss fight in the game, and with as frustrating as it was, it would have been good that way. But it wasn't, because there were more boss fights, and they just felt tedious. This one specifically was aggravating, but overall, they were tedious. Speaking of tedious, the plot is that there essentially is no plot. Heather just turns out to be Harry Mason's daughter at the beginning, which isn't even a plot twist. Harry Mason dies for no reason, because plot. She goes to Silent Hill because she's pissed off, because plot. It's Claudia's nightmare because Claudia's alive for some reason after dying in Silent Hill 1, because plot. And it all just happens for absolutely no reason. It was a reason to bring back Harry Mason as a kind of stepping stone into Silent Hill. Don't get me wrong, it's okay to be a direct sequel to a game, but at least treat the last game that you're being a sequel to with some respect, man. Come on. Harry Mason deserved a much more dignified death than just, oh my god, he's dead, what do we do? No, I don't accept that. I don't even feel like it needed to exist. Heather Mason could have been literally any random person, and it would have been a better game if it had nothing to do with Silent Hill 1 at all. The occult shit, I dig, don't get me wrong, I really do. But there just wasn't enough of it in the game to justify all of the weird occult references that were going on everywhere, and it just felt so out of place. It didn't feel right. There was nothing natural about the way the plot progressed, and it lost my attention pretty quick. The voice acting was garbage, the cinematography was okay, the weird slew of characters was just there, I guess, but aside from that, there's no real need for any of it. The plot could have not existed at all, and the game would just be as good as it is. The end had to be the biggest fucking waste of time that showed up suddenly that I've ever seen in a video game before. Hey look, random guy dies and you want me to be sad about that. Hey look, Claudia eats a baby. Hey look, disturbing shit happens. Hey look, boss fight. Hey look, the game's over. And yeah, okay, the game rewards you. You get some shit. You get to do some shit, you know? There's always cool unlockables at the end of shit like this, and it's not a long game, but with no plot progression, it really did just feel like the game was over when it was over. I didn't even feel like I got to the ending. I felt like I had just solved a puzzle in the middle of the game and walked into the end of the game on accident, and I don't even know how the fuck that happens. There was no reason for it to be there where it was. I could have gone with at least another extra hour or so to build up to a good ending, but no, we didn't get that. We just hunt down Claudia in the chapel. She dies, fucking end of the game, happy-go-lucky, joy, everyone lives, except for that guy. All in all, like, 5 out of 10. This is a pretty okay time. I didn't mind the combat, like I said, you know, the puzzles were really good throughout the game. The visuals were just as disturbing as every other day, and gameplay, in the end-all be-all, is what makes a game decent. The plot wasn't there, though. I can't excuse the bullshit happening because plot. It's a ripoff. It's a big middle finger. There's no reason to pay attention to any of the story if you want to play the game. Just play the game, ignore literally everything going on in the story, and enjoy the visuals, because that's really the only way you're going to enjoy the game. Thank you, and have a nice day. Hello, and welcome to the End Slate. The question of the day is, what video game right now disturbs you the most? Answers in the comments, and I'll put comments up in the End Slate of the next video, because I have another one coming out in a couple of weeks that I think will be really good. I'm going to link to my last quote-unquote review over here from forever ago of the Turing test, because I thought that was a really stupid time, and it's a good video. It's worth a look if you haven't seen it before. But aside from that, thanks for watching. Remember to answer the question of the day, to have your comments put up on the screen, and I'll see you next time.